I've been working as a software developer for almost 20 years, and probably the question that I got asked most in this almost 20 years was from people that are not developers, that they want to be developers, and they just come here to me and say, hey, how can I start? How can I do what you do? The motive for that, I guess, it can vary, but most of the times it's because people know how much a developer makes compared to other professions, and also the amounts of jobs available, right? It's really crazy out there. Like, there is just not enough software engineers in the world that can apply to all those jobs. It's really crazy. Also, flexibility from working from home, especially now that after 2020, when everything went crazy and everybody started working from home. That's when most of companies, even companies that they were not open to working from home, like big banks and things like that, they changed it. So now a lot of people really are working from home, and the managers, the directors, the whole company saw that they don't really need to be in there, right? They don't need to be at the office. And being a software engineer / developer, it's the same thing, to be honest. It helps you that because you can do your job anywhere. As long as you have an internet connection on your laptop, you're good to go. You can do anything you want. So my goal with this is to help you start this journey. So this video is aimed to a person that has never been a software developer, who have tried in the past, but got stuck or didn't have the motivation, and that's what I'm here to. I want to try to help you guys to start and maybe to have a better professional life with more opportunities, and hopefully even with a bigger paycheck. That also helps. Hi guys, my name is Andre Silva. This is my first video. Be nice, please. For many years I've been trying to do something like this, like YouTube videos and things like that. I had many successful experiences in the past, acting as a mentor, you know, trying to teach junior software developers, or even people who were already good in other technologies and they wanted to migrate to one specific technology, and I helped them. And I always got good feedback from that. So that's one of the reasons why I decided to start this. So this is a way that I can try and help everybody to start doing something like I do. And just a reminder, this is, at least at the beginning, this is going to be a series of very basic videos, okay? So I'm just going to explain everything from the ground of software development. What is software development? What do you need to know? What are your skills? And I'm also going to teach, of course, the technical side of it. But bear in mind that this is going to be a beginner series for now, okay? We're going to the deep stuff later, but for now, that's it. So, what exactly is software development? Just one thing, you might hear about software developer, software engineer. It is kind of the same thing, okay? It's all about a person who is building software. That's it. Software engineer, software developer, a programmer, kind of the same stuff. So let's compare software development with construction, for example. So let's say you want to build a house, right? So you have the architect together with the engineer. They will do all the drawings, they'll do the planning, they'll say, hey, this is how we want our house, you know, this is going to be the kind of materials you're going to use, this is how on the wall, this is how on the ceiling, everything, okay? So think about it, what exactly did you do step by step, right? So after you have that, then you're going to hire the workers, and what do they have to do? So for example, there's going to be the first worker, so he's going to start laying bricks, right, until he gets a wall. And then, well, unless you live in Europe or America, where people just love to make houses out of wood, I have no idea why, but get back to the subject. So the guy finished the wall, so he make 4 walls, okay, he has the space for the doors, he goes to the ceiling, and basically you have one room ready, right? So let's say that's a kitchen, right? So you have 4 walls, the ceiling, with the roof, everything, and then is it done? No, it's not done, right? You need more than that. So what do you need? You need, of course, you need the plumbing, you need all the electric wires, right? You also need the finishing, you need the painting. So there's a lot of areas, and it's most of the times it's never the same guy that does everything. The guy who laid the bricks is not the same guy that's going to pass the wires or painting. Well, sometimes it is, but most of the time I don't think it is. So software development is kind of the same thing. When the client comes to the company you work for, what he's going to say, he's going to explain his plan. He said, hey, this is where I am, this is where I want to get to, so this is what I want the software to do. So then your team is going to have all this kind of the same roles, right? So you're going to have the architect, be the guy who really thinks about the whole structure of the thing. So he's going to say, okay, we are going to use specific database. We're going to use this specific programming language, and this is how we're going to build our components and everything. And you, for example, could be one of the workers, right? You're going to be one of the developers. You're going to be laying your bricks, right? So, but instead of bricks, you're going to write your lines of codes. So basically that's it. You are going to build something in a small deliverable, in small build blocks, and at the end, all those build blocks is going to be the full software that the client needs. So basically, in a very simple way to say it, this is software development. It's basically translating what the client needs into a fully working software. Okay, so now you need to learn one programming language, right? So which one is the best one? There is no such thing. As the same thing as there is not the best car, as there is not the best football. Well, there is. Bruh. So there are dozens and dozens of languages. You can maybe narrow between 5 and 10, which will be like the most common ones. There is so many different choices of languages that you can learn. So basically, what is a programming language? Think about it like a notebook, right? So if you want to write something and you want to pass that information along, what do? You have the blank sheet of paper, you write your sentences there, you show to someone, and that person understands. Programming languages works like that. So basically what you do, you're going to code you use some specific keywords that will tell your computer to do something. So for example, you can tell your computer via code to create a text file, for example, and get that text file with the text there and upload to the cloud and send an email with that content and whatever. You can do anything. The thing is, if you want the computer to do something specific for you, you have to write that in a specific language that's going to be interpreted by the compiler. So basically what you have is you have your source code, then that source code gets compiled by the compiler, and the compiler generates another file that the computer can understand. So your computer will execute that. So source code to the compiler, compiler to the executable file, right? And that executable file can be read by your computer. That's a very big analogy of how those things work. So now what you need to do is to find one specific language and just dig on it. There is one specific language that's the one that I'm going to cover in this whole series of videos, and that one is a very popular one. It's called Java. And why Java? Well, many reasons, but the biggest reason why I'm going to teach you Java is because that's what I do. That's what I started working 19 years ago. In January of 2003, that's when I got my first trainee internship to work as a Java developer. Also, another thing why Java is a very popular language is, if you check probably in the past 5 to 10 years, the top 3 most popular languages, Java is always in there. Also, if you think about jobs availability, right? So careers opportunity, LinkedIn, just open LinkedIn, type Java on the job search, you're gonna see how many job openings are there. And that's one of the reasons why I think Java is a very important language right now. Maybe some people here will say that they don't like it, maybe they'll say that some other languages are better. I understand it's not about who's better. Don't forget what this video is about, right? This video is about you changing your life. It's about changing your professional life and starting as a software developer. And I guess maybe there is a brand fancy new software development language that you might like it, but there are not really any market needs for that right now. It's a very small thing, so if you want to start with that, you're probably going to get frustrated because it's going to take a lot of effort for you to learn about that. And once you learn it, there's no use for you, right? Because there are no jobs for that. So I honestly believe that Java is one of the most important languages to learn right now, either for the amount of companies they are using or really for what you can achieve with the language. It's a really complete language. You can do basically anything. Now let's talk about what kinds of segregations we have inside software development. So basically you can work as a mobile developer. So we are talking about developing apps for your phone, for iPhone, for Android. You can just create your own Instagram, your own TikTok, whatever. You can do whatever kind of things you want. So that would be a very specific thing. It's about learning how to develop software for mobile devices. The other two, I would say they are a little bit more popular. That will be back-end developer and front-end developer. And what does that mean? Basically what you're talking about is, imagine you have Facebook, you have the front page of Facebook and you want to post something, okay? You want to update your status or whatever, you want to post a picture. So you have that page. Who develops that page? The front end team. That's why it's called front end, because that's what the user, it's on the front of the store, let's say like that. So that's as the user can see. So when you click the button, what does that button do? What that information you're gonna send somewhere? All that visuals are created. Don't confuse that with web designer. Okay, web designer, I mean, that's a very old term. I don't even know if people still use that term. But basically, usually you have two segregations in the front end, right? You have the person who just creates a visual. They don't care about the functionality. They just say, hey, this is how I want to look at. This is how I think it looks great. So this is gonna be. And then they're going to pass that to the front end engineer. And then he's gonna say, okay, I need some code here on the front end to make this work. So I have this text box. Once they type something and they want to display that as their latest post and they click on this button, I need to do something with that information, right? So basically what the front end is going to do is going to take that information, is going to probably do some validations. Hey, like, is there enough characters there? Is the box empty? All those kind of things. Then it's going to treat that information and it can send that information to the backend. So think about it that the backend is really the engine, okay? Like another analogy, I like analogies. So like a car, front end, when you enter the car, the front end is everything that you see. And the engine is the back end. You don't see that, but you know that when you press the throttle, the car accelerates. And that's what happens basically on a software. So you have the front of the application, and when you click a button or you do something, it will make a call to the back end. I've been working as a back-end developer. So Java is mainly a back-end technology, right? So you can do all kinds of server-side programming. So again, talking about the Facebook post. So the guy went there, hit the front end, he typed whatever he wants in his page. When he pressed the button, that sends information to the back-end. So think about two pieces of software talking with each other. So once the back-end gets that information, it's gonna do something. Probably it's gonna store in a database or something. And once it's there, the front end can request, say, hey, give me the latest post of this user. You click there, it returns. Or even Twitter, right? Twitter is probably the most simple kind of front end, back end we can see. You have a text box, you type something, when you save it, it goes to the back end. And when you click on someone's profile, it lists all the posts, right? So you just go back to the back end and says, hey, back end, give me all the information that I need. And it gets there, all the posts from the user, it shows. So basically that's the difference. There's also something called full stack developer. That's someone who kind of does everything, right? They do the front end, they do the back end. And to be honest, when I started, that's what I used to do. But at the time, we were talking almost 20 years ago, the front end technologies were quite basic. They were not as powerful as they are today. So that's one of the reasons why every time more and more they are splitting those two responsibilities. So you have front end developers and back end developers. So what we are going to focus, back end development. In which language? Java. Okay guys, so now we are going to start with downloading everything that we need to get started with Java development. The first thing you need to do is to check if you already have any version of Java installed. It's very likely that you do, and I suggest that you uninstall everything. How do you check if you do have? So if you just open the start and you just type cmd, command prompt, then we have the prompt here. I'm working on Windows, so if you're working on Linux or Mac, you just open your terminal. This is something that you're going to have to get used to a lot, because it doesn't matter which language you are working on, you will always be using terminal, like terminal commands, and there's not much like drag and drop and click here and click there. It's more about really writing things to the terminal, so you have to get used to it. If you just type Java here, you see that Java is not recognized. That means that I don't have any version of Java installed. Again, if you do, if you show anything else than this message, you go to programs, uninstall it, and let's install the new one. Okay, so let's exit. The first thing we need to do is to just type JDK, and JDK stands for Java Development Kit. That's exactly what we need. Do you see we have Oracle link here? Oracle is the one who owns Java, so if you click here, you see Java downloads. We have Java 18 and Java 17 available. Which one should you work on? Right now, let's focus on Java 17, because that's LTS, and that stands for long-term support. So that means that Oracle will keep working on this
bug fixing, improvements, everything. To be honest, for the things that we are working right now, it doesn't really matter which version you're using unless it's a very old version. So basically anything above Java 9 or Java 11 should be working fine for our test, but I recommend you get the latest LTS in this time, so Java 17. So you click here, Java 17, and then you have Linux, Mac, or Windows. In my case, I'm working with Windows. I just can download anything. I just download the MSI, that's easier. So it is already downloading. Once it finishes, it's just like any other installation, basically next and next finish. So next, yes, I want to install here a little bit, quite straightforward, close, it's done. How can we be sure that it is installed? Let's go back to the terminal. So if I type cmd, I have command prompt. If I type Java now, you see that I'm gonna have a lot of other things here. Most important, if I just type Java space minus version, you can see it says, hey, you have Java version 17, LTS, long time support. That's exactly what we need. You can exit and we can go back to our browser and I will show you now what else we are going to install. Okay, now that we have the JDK installed, we need one more tool. So it's called IntelliJ. Do you see IntelliJ IDEA? So when you're working with Java, you don't really need anything else than the JDK to develop, right? The problem is if you just write your codes on a notepad or something, it's gonna be a lot of work. So we have two big tools that helps us work with Java. One of them is called IntelliJ IDEA. The other one is called Eclipse. Eclipse used to be like the industry standard until maybe 10 years ago. That's the one that I worked most of my life. Apparently people don't like that anymore, I still do. But I'm getting more and more used with IntelliJ. So let's download this one, okay? So if you just type IntelliJ on Google, you can right away and click on the first one. So you see the Pro Java IDE. And then you click here on download. They have a paid version and a community version. We don't really need Automate now. We just go ahead and download this one. Okay, so here we are. Again, it's basically next and next finish installation. So you just next. You don't have to mess with anything right here, right now. Next, install, and then you just wait. As you can see, we finished downloading, installing. Just click Run IntelliJ Community Edition. So after you run the IDE, this is going to be the first screen that you're going to see it. What we're going to do is go ahead and click on New Project. And then you just have to type a name for that. We are going to write this as first project. You just choose a location, whatever you want. I recommend always have like one specific folder anywhere. It doesn't matter where, but just create one specific folder to create your project, so either workspace or project or whatever the name you want. You don't have to change anything. Language is going to be Java, IntelliJ. The JDK, just remember we just installed the Java 17, right? So if you have something else here, you see like 11 here is red, because I had that version, I don't have it anymore, so I can use that. So you have to use the latest one, 17, so just click here if it's not shown and click on create. Okay, so this is the first screen that you see once you have created your project. You don't have to mind all those other files that we have here. That's not important for now. The first thing we want to do you see this source src, that stands for source. That folder is where you're going to put all your codes, all your Java classes, okay? So we're gonna right click on that, new Java class. And then we need a name for that. So I'm gonna call that class hello. Okay, we have it here, our class. I'm gonna type a lot of keywords here that you may not understand everything, and that's no problem. Right now, I just want us to have our first basic Java code working, okay? On the next video, I'm gonna go step by step telling you about, okay, what does public means, what does class means, and everything. And I'm gonna write a lot of other words that you don't know what it is, and it's alright. So public static void main string args. You are probably wondering, what is this? Again, you don't have to worry about, but just understand that this is a class, and a class has methods, or you can also call functions. In Java, call it methods. So this is the main method. The main method, it's always the one that is executed from a class. So whatever code you put inside here, it's going to be executed. So I'm just gonna do system.out.println, and then you're gonna say my first Java code, and we put the semicolon. Okay, this is your first Java code. Congratulations. What does this do? So this is basically a class in Java with the main method, and say I want to print something to the output of the system. Okay, and in this case is the console. Remember that I told you that we are going to use the console a lot, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to print something. So if I right click here on my class and run hello.main, so hello is my class, main is my method. So let's click on hello main. You see what it did here? My first Java code. It just printed on the console whatever you wrote here. So congratulations, this is your first Java class. You can ignore this. This is something from the IDE, from the IntelliJ that it does. But what important is whatever you type in here, it's gonna be executed. And as you say that you want to print something in the output of your system, this is what it does. So if you just put anything else here, and then you see you have a button here, play, or you can write Shift F10. It doesn't matter which, if you're running this on Windows or Mac or Linux, you always have the shortcuts. So if I just type Shift F10 here, it's gonna run again. And you see, now I have first code test. Nice. What can you do with this? Can you already get a job with this? No, you can't. But this was your first step. Your first step to become a Java developer. And you created your first class, you printed something, you create your method here, you printed something, you installed JDK, you installed the IDE, and you already have something running.
Gotta confess, this was much more difficult than I expected. As I told you before, this was my first time shooting a video for YouTube. I had no idea how to set up a camera, no idea how to set up the lights, microphones, editing, adding songs, adding music, any kind of color correction, no idea. But I learned everything in probably what, 3-4 weeks? Yeah, it took me a long time, I know. I guess this also shows what is to be a software developer. It is the same thing. You never stop learning. You never stop trying to do new things. It was overwhelming, yes. And I'm pretty sure if you have never been a software engineer, if you never tried to code anything, probably that's how you are thinking about right now. So you installed a JDK, you installed the IDE, you installed everything, and you run your first code. I understand you can't do much with that, but it is overwhelming, right? You are learning so many things right now, but you did it the same way I did this video. It is an achievement for me, definitely. And I learned so much about how bad my English is. I always thought my English was good. So many English mistakes. You can see there's a lot of editing, and even with the editings, cuts, there's a lot of things that I said wrong. I promise I will try to improve my English for you guys. I also realized that I'm definitely not a camera person, so I really need to work on that. The same way that you need to work on everything that you think you should improve. So if you want to be an engineer and you want to learn more about things, you have to go there and dig it. You have to go there and fail. You have to go there and make mistakes, like I'm doing right now with this video. And again, I told you that before, but I understand you didn't understood all the keywords and all the things that I said there. What I suggest to you is Google for those things. Try to learn it. On my next video, I'm gonna go for all of them, but again, try to learn it by yourself. And then on my next video, I'm pretty sure things are gonna be much easier. But I really appreciate you guys for staying here. I have no idea how this is gonna be. I hope it's gonna be a long journey. So if you are still here, that means you made it to the end. Please hit the like button, subscribe, it really helps, goes a long way. And yes, keep working, keep studying. I'll see you guys next time.